Can you tell me what's wrong with this axe? I've got a little project. It kind of looks wrong to the eye because it is wrong. Really hard to swing it. It just feels odd. And that's because it's hung the wrong way around. And I don't know, looking at this, it is a bit mushroomed on that end, whether they hung it to use as a sledgehammer rather than an axe. There was 3 axes together in my mate's shed, but this one's not much use as it is. So I'm thinking I'm going to take it off. It's been fitted quite well looking at it. You know, that's pretty tight in there. Look at the huge wedge they've used. I don't know if that's a piece of aluminium or a piece of steel. I'll find out in a bit. I think I'm going to have to cut this off. And then I'm going to make myself a new handle. And I'm going to decorate it. I'm going to put a little bit of checkering or something down the bottom. And then I'm going to try some more Kolrosing towards the top and see how that takes. And see if it will last on something like an axe handle when it's swinging through your hands. So I want it to be quite smooth. So I think it's got to be kind of corrosed up there. It can be a little bit grippy down here where you want the one hand to stay. But you generally slip the handle through your hand. So I think I'll probably make it in roughly this style handle, but the other way around. And we'll try and make it look nice. And we'll tidy up this axe head as well. And I'll probably upset some people by using the quite a fine disc on the angle grinder sandpaper. And I'm going to polish it up. I want it nice and polished. Grind up the axe on the grinder and get a decent edge. Probably need to reshape it a tiny bit as well. That's always the worst bit, is getting the handle out. Right, so there's the handle. There's the nice big wedge in it. Proper wedge as well. Not seen one that big for a while. So let's get shaping this. Go on, show me your card, magic trick.
Floating card.
Wow, that's good. Coarse stone. Using a coarse stone, make sure you have one thick enough so that your finger doesn't catch the end of the axe blade. That's probably a bit daft sharpening this. I got a bit carried away. I just really wanted to sharpen it and get a nice edge on it. And I have, so I'm going to tape this up in a minute so that I no longer risk cutting myself on the edge of this nice sharp axe blade. But it is easier to sharpen without the handle on to get it back to kind of roughly where I want the angle. So it's about 35, 37 degrees, something like that. And now I'm going to look at making the handle. Obviously I'd like to cleave it out of a nice log and stuff, but I have no ash logs and I don't want to wait to season it. So I'm going to use this nice piece of dry ash that I've got out of the shed. As you can see, this piece is quite a nice piece of ash actually. It's but the grain kind of goes that way. I want the axe handle to go on, so it's going to have to go towards this end. There is arguments between heartwood and sapwood. I think for the amount I'm going to use this axe, I don't think it's going to make much odds. And you can see I've got that nice bit there, which kind of going the right way. What I don't want is it through the handle to be going that way. It's much better to be going kind of with the way that I'm going to be swinging the axe. So I'm going to mark this out now. I'm going to thin this down, and then I'm going to shape it up, and then maybe take it to the shave force, but it is raining at the moment. Get this axe handle somewhere near the shape I want it. I'm going to cut this out roughly with the bandsaw. It's not very nice outside. It's quite nice in the polytunnel. I'll make use of this little microclimate. Right, so I've shaped it roughly. I have used sandpaper, I have used rafts, I've used my draw knife. Spoke shave would be good as well. And then obviously you want the head to be really tight. And it's just a case, for me anyway, of trial and error. So keep going with it. You can kind of push it in, take it out. Oh, maybe I can't take it out. And you can see kind of where it's catching. And at the moment I'm using a rasp. Depends how much I want to take off it really. It's getting there. Obviously if it tapers you'll just have to keep taking more off, but it's really worth taking your time with this. You don't want it loose, you want it to be a really nice tight fit. I don't want gaps if I can help it. It's very easy to rush it. Take all those marks off and then we can try it again. Make sure your accent's the right way up. You can see that's the bottom, that's the top. I hope. And you can see it starts to go in, and I've left the end long. It doesn't matter if I hit it. You want to make sure it's going in straight as well to start with, and I'll hit it in. We're getting there very, very slowly. I probably want to be a bit more aggressive in what I'm taking off really. Yeah, not making quite so many marks now. So we'll hit it on harder and start getting down there. Even better. So we're going to Kolrosing this handle rather than carve it. We carve anything out, we're taking wood out and you're going to feel it on your hands. So Kolrosing is dead simple. It's kind of using a wider bladed knife, although you can just use a normal carving knife. If you tape up the end, you're just kind of using the tip and you're scoring it and splitting those fibres apart, and then you're going to put in some pigment of some sort. I'm going to use coffee, and then you burnish it back with a kind of non-sedimentary rock, so it's a nice smooth rock. You rub it back, and then you won't be able to feel it, and it kind of seals it in. When you rub it with oil, then it kind of seals it all. So that's what we're going to do, and let's get started. Marked it all with pencil first. I scored it. I then did the down by the hand grip, and I marked all that out in pencil. I made myself some grid lines as reference, and then started to fill in the pattern then. This pattern did kind of flummox me a few times, it must be said, but nice job in front of the fire, kind of carving it out and filling it in as I went. Once I'd done the one hand grip, I then worked up further, and that's kind of like a bit more of a Pictish key pattern, and it's quite simple once you get it set out. I made myself a little cardboard template, which I used, and this template then I could draw around and then go over those pencil lines with my knife, rub out all the pencil lines once that's done, and see what it looks like. I kept holding it up to the light if I was in doubt of where I kind of got to, and you could see where you'd scored. I flipped it over and did the other side. I think each side took me about 90 minutes. But it's a nice job in front of the fire. It doesn't create any mess, so you can do it inside. So it's actually quite therapeutic. You could do this one in front of the TV as long as you're kind of paying attention to where your knife's going. So once I've done that, I got it into the workshop and sanded it off, just with a really fine sandpaper, just to make it smooth again and to remove any of the last pencil lines. Then I got some oil, and I oiled small areas and rubbed in coffee grounds. So I just got instant coffee and rubbed those in with the oil and worked my way up as I went. Did one side, then wiped off the excess oil, kind of gave it another coat, wiped off the excess, and then burnished it with the stone. The burnishing doesn't take too long. You don't want to be able to feel any of the cuts, so you just keep rubbing it really hard with the stone, back and forth, until you think you've got it all kind of covered. Then I flipped it over and did the same again. Once I got this both sides done, it's just a case of letting the oil dry, and then it's ready to use. Now obviously I put quite a bit of effort into this handle, so I'm not going to glue the wedge in case I don't hang it quite right. and it doesn't feel quite right. And I'm not hugely experienced at hanging axes, so I'm just going to get a wedge, coat it up with a load of linseed oil, and hit it in. Well, the felling axe isn't something I use huge amounts of time anyway. Let's oil this up. And then should make it bind and swell up a bit inside the axe head. You can go see that, yeah. You're not going to see that? There's a bit of heft to it. Right, cut this off now. Okay, so what can I say about this axe handle now I've finished it? I'm really chuffed with it. It's surprising, you don't feel it at all as it runs through your hands. You can use it like a normal axe. I do wonder how long it might last, or whether it might get, you know, the staining on it might get darker if you've got dirty hands, kind of rubs into it and the whole thing darkens down a little bit. It'd be a great way to identify your axe. I can't see why they wouldn't have done this in the past. It's something you could have sat on an evening and made a practical item more beautiful. And I know you kind of see it on axe heads a lot, kind of engraved, but I think the handles would have been done as well. I'm really pleased with kind of how it's come together and the fact that you can't feel it in your hands. If you've enjoyed this project, please click the thumbs up and please comment. I'd love some more comments on my videos. It'd be really cool. So if you've got any questions or a project you'd like to see me do, then please leave it down below. Thanks for watching. See you next time.